You've been speaking about Iran's nuclear program
Yes.
for many years. What do you say to people who don't believe Iran has a nuclear program and or they haven't been enriching uranium to weapons grade levels? The
It's for some
exasperated
reason
side.
people get like so mad at me, and it's not my opinion. I'm just truly giving you facts.
Yeah.
After I worked in the vault and worked the programs that I did at CIA, I moved to a group called CTCWMD, and
Okay.
our job was to locate terrorist networks that were trying to acquire crude toxins, poisons, and nuclear material. One of them was a dude named AQ Khan, and AQ Khan is who sold Iran nuclear material. He admitted on national TV in 2009, like, I did that. So I don't understand
Yeah.
why. And people are very much, well, you don't, just because they have it doesn't mean they, didn't create a warhead. Well, then what are they doing with the centrifuges?
Right.
300 meters underground at Fordo. Like truly, what are they doing?
Right.
And listen, in the 1950s, when obviously we had a better relationship with them, we did assist them in developing nuclear energy programs.
Yep.
And so we absolutely, I guess, contributed to that. But when you're enriching it up to 60%,
Right.
like, there is no reason to do that other than weapons grade.
Right.
And maybe they don't have the payload systems to deliver it. Maybe they don't, but do we want to experience why? And then usually the second question I get back to that is, well, then why are you okay with Israel having them, and the US and Pakistan and all these other countries? I'm actually not okay with anyone really having nukes.
Yeah.
I'm totally not. But here's the thing. Iran literally has in their constitution, like, death to America. Like, they want to kill us.
Death to America, death to Israel, death to Jews.
So I don't want a country.
They have a countdown clock in
Yes.
Tehran. They have multiple
Yes.
that until the destruction of the state of Israel.
And I don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't want to experience that. And the other countries don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So Pakistan, people have issues with them, whatever, but they have not done that.
Right.
India hasn't done that. Like, all these other countries that have them haven't engaged in that kind of rhetoric.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not as kind of hell bent, right, on making sure that their programs go away, because the reality is we do have them. So who are we,
Mm-hmm.
right, to tell other countries not to? But like, this is literally in Iran's, not the people, but their, government's doctrine. So
Yeah.
we're just going to wait and see how it goes. Like,
Right.
for us, I don't understand. It's
Yeah.
very, I want to try to understand like the thinking behind that, but I can't support a regime that treats their people the way that they do.
At all. And
Yeah.
I don't think the average individual here understands it whatsoever. It's been wild to see people who say they stand for human rights holding up Khomeini's
It's very
face,
odd.
and like, it's unbelievable. And especially as recent as the woman life freedom protests in 2022,
Yes.
after Masa Amini was ruthlessly murdered and hundreds of murders and innocents killed and put in prisons. It's been very scary to say the least, and to see the support for legitimate radical
Terrorists.
terror organizations. Yeah.
They're terrorists.
Yeah.
I mean, the RGC is on our terror
Yeah.
list. It's very shocking to me, and I have to wonder what the people of Iran think.
Yeah.
If they've gone crazy, or I don't know.
So I just interviewed a woman from Iran. She lives in Australia now,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm interviewing a man from Iran. From what I'm gathering from my Iranian friends and from these two, and just from my Iranian colleagues, is that you can even look, like, polling shows that support for the Ayatollah and for the mullahs and for the regime in Iran is like less than 10%, and they don't have free speech, so it's probably even less than that.
It's less than that. It's kind of like how Putin's support is like 99%.
Yeah,
And you're like,
exactly.
that's not true. But okay.
But like, even if that's accurate, less than 10%,
Right.
and they don't have freedom. They don't have freedom of speech. It's
They don't even have an economy right now, too.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, most of my friends, obviously being from LA, it's a heavily Persian
Yeah.
community.
Yes. Yeah.
And most of my friends were born in actually Iran and then came here. I was born in 1978, so they came here.
Oh, wow, when
in
they were
the fall.
babies.
Yes. And so
Wow.
the vast majority of my friends growing up came to escape the regime, right?
Yep.
But right now, a lot of them are saying, and I happen to agree, this is the closest I think they have come
Yes.
to seeing the Ayatollah fall, because it's this like conglomeration of like events,
Yeah.
right? You've got obviously Israel bombing, you have the US bombing, but then you also have a very dire economic situation, more dire than it has been dire for a while, but
Yeah.
more dire than it ever has been.
Yep.
And so you have this like prime, but I am very clear, and I've said this, that Iran needs to pick their own leader.
Correct.
Iranians need to pick their own
Yes,
leader. Not
we've
us.
made that mistake too many times.
Way too many times.
However, I'm interested to hear your take on this. I think they should pick their own leader, and they need to run their own government without
100%.
question. From the Iranians I've spoken to, they've been devastated that it appears that there's a ceasefire now, which is difficult because on one hand, they're getting bombed. Now, mostly striking military targets, but there have been hundreds of innocent civilians who have been killed in Iran. At the same time, not only have they been subject to some of the most horrific crimes that humanity has seen under this regime, but also they're worried that now that there's a ceasefire, the regime will retaliate on its own people who were supporting or they've already been executing people who they've labeled as dissidents. What do you think the U.S. and Israel and the world should be doing? Do you think we should be aiding the Iranians on the ground to topple the regime? Do you think we should just pull out and, hey, you're on your own? Like, I'm going to give you my personal opinion. I don't want American troops on the ground there at all.
Yeah.
But I also don't think we can just say, hey, you're on your own now to deal with this horrific regime. So I'm stuck. Like, I don't know what the right move is. What do you think?
So I actually agree with you, like 100%. But obviously, the ceasefire, and I use that in air quotes because let's be honest, it's already been broken. And like, I mean, I think it's going to continue.
Yes,
I do.
Of course.
I don't want troops on the ground. I'm totally with you on that. But I also think it's kind of one of those things where, like, hey, Israel, like, you started this bombing. U.S., you came in too. So, like, what are you going to do now?
Right.
And I personally think this is where intel becomes very, very important. Clearly, Mossad, and I said that I was like very impressed with
Oh my gosh,
the precision of like their strikes there. So clearly, Mossad has people on the ground in Iran. Clearly, otherwise, and I talked about how the air support sounds so cool, but they can't hit targets without people on the ground helping them hit them, putting beacons there, whatever it is they're doing. They clearly have a huge network there. So either Mossad or the U.S. needs to help develop that network. And then that network needs to be supplied, funded, assisted to reach up to the people and give them that support to overthrow their regime. So I would say it needs to actually come at the bottom and work its way up through intel.
Okay.
Because I never realized that Israel had that good of sources
Yeah.
in Iran. Like, I never realized that.
They had
And so
a drone base
this is
built inside Iran.
But this is a way that you could really capitalize,
That
right?
makes sense.
On that distrust and this distress that they're all in, and really get change from the ground up. And so that's, I think, the best way to handle it, not put boots on the ground, because I don't want that either.
That makes total sense. And I hadn't thought about other assets, Mossad assets that are on the ground that are there like, hey, this is where you need
Clearly,
to hit.
they're there. Yeah.
That makes total sense.